from deep inside of me and you. It's telling us that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one. Yeah, yeah, we are one. Now let's come together and understand that Christ was born inside of every man. He's waiting for us to choose him as ourselves. When you choose him, you know you choose me too. And everyone becomes a part of you. And then you know that love is who I am. You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one.
Welcome to A Course of Love.
Yeah, yeah, we are one.
Welcome to A Course of Love. Welcome to A Course of Love.
We are one.
Welcome to A Course of Love. This is Earl Purdy, and we're going to go on a journey tonight. We're going to go on a journey deep within ourselves. We're going to sink beneath all of the chaos of the world. We're going to take a little break from the play. We're going to breathe. We're going to put all the illusions of the world into the background for just a little while.
And we were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same hearts. We've been together from the start.
We've been together from the start.
Tell me, can you hear it?
Can you hear it?
Tell me, can you feel it?
Put your arms around it and know that we are one. Welcome to A Course of Love.
Oh, we are one.
Welcome to Facebook Live.
Yeah, yeah, we are one.
I'm so glad you are here.
Oh, we are one.
I need to feel my connection with you.
I am you.
I need to feel our unity.
You are me.
I want to feel your heart. I love that song, We Are One, by Brother John Christmas. You can go to johnchristmas.com and you can download that music for free. Hey, woo. I feel really mellow. I feel really grateful. I'm beginning to see things and experience things in myself that I didn't even know were possible. And it's got my ego slightly freaked out. This stuff that we're studying is true. It is taking us to levels that I never even dreamed of. I'm so glad to see you here with me tonight. Mark and Myrna and Bill and Laurel and Kim and Patricia and all the rest of you mighty companions that's here with me right now to do A Course of Love. And share and talk and communicate with each other. And I'll respond when I get a chance also. It's great to be here with you. Tonight we're going to go into the second treatise of A Course of Love. And the second treatise, we're going to do chapter 1 in the second treatise in A Course of Love. And it's on page 238. If you have the Course of Love book, we're going to be on page 238. And what I want to do is really hear this together. I want to bring what the Course of Love is saying to life. So I'm going to go through the paragraph, and we're going to see what the takeaway is. And I'll respond when I can to questions. And please, I want us to see if we can really get the juice, get the message, get the gift that this section is trying to give us tonight. So it says, and we're on page 238 in A Course of Love. It says, you are all aware that there are treasures that lie within you. You have treasures inside of you. What was once regarded as a treasure, such as a talent that was in need of developing when realized, is often disregarded thereafter as a treasure and becomes instead something regarded as an ability and later as simply part of your identity. I'm going to tell you right now, this particular section is really a challenge in a way to me, because it's asking us to go really deep within ourselves. It's asking us to go really, really deep within ourselves. So, usually something that was seen as a treasure, which you might have saw as some talent that you needed to develop, the once you achieved and developed that talent, then after that, it's regarded not as a treasure, but that talent is regarded as an ability that you have. And then later you might make it a part of your identity. To me, I need very concrete, specific examples sometimes to bring a point home. And I play saxophone, right? So that was a talent that I discovered that I had, that I needed to develop. And I treasured that talent. I treasured that ability to play saxophone. But you know what happened? It went from being a talent to something that I developed that I treasured to it then became the ability to play saxophone. And then I later saw myself as a saxophone player. Like he said, the ability becomes a part of your identity. So I went from I have a treasured talent, which is my ability to play saxophone, that I developed. And instead of continuing to see it as a treasure, I started to see it as an ability that I had. And then I made it a part of my identity, and I started calling myself a saxophone player. So that is the mistake that we make with our treasure. So whatever talent it is that you have, whatever talent it is that you may have developed, have you stopped treasuring that talent, and now you just see that talent as an ability, and just an ability that's part of your identity, but it's no longer something that you are really treasuring? Well, this is what we're going to explore. We're going to explore tonight, we're going to explore the idea of treasure. What is treasure? What is your treasure? A treasure that you do not as yet recognize is going to be recognized. So there's a message for you right now. And that message for you right now is that you have an ability, you have a treasure that you're going to recognize. There's a new treasure that you're about to discover. You have a treasure, you have a talent, you have a treasure that you are about to recognize. You see, I look at these sections that we cover as direct messages to us from the divine. So the message that we're getting tonight is that you are about to discover a treasure. You are about to discover a new treasure that you have never recognized. And once you recognize this new treasure, you're going to see that new treasure as an ability. And finally, through experience, this new treasure is going to become a part of your experience. It's going to become a part of your identity. And we will begin by discussing the nature of treasure. So we're going to start out by discovering and discussing the nature of treasure. We're going to discuss the nature of treasure. Treasure is most often seen in one of two ways. Treasure is seen as something valuable to be sought and found, or treasure is seen as something found that is kept secure and cherished. So treasure is something that we see as something that's very valuable, that we need to find. And then once we find it, the course of love is saying then we want to secure that treasure and we want to cherish that treasure. So let's say a person's treasure is their relationship or a person that they think they want. I'm just using this for an example. That's not exactly what this is talking about at all. But when you see something as a treasure, you seek it and you try to find it. And then once you find something that you treasure, your tendency would be to try to keep it secure and cherish it. So what you cherish is what you treasure. So whatever you cherish right now, whatever you're cherishing right now, that's what your treasure is. So we're going to discuss the nature of treasure, and we're talking about deep spiritual treasures. I assume that by the time a person gets to want to study a course of love, they begin to have the realization that they're more than just their human personality, and they're more than just their physical body. And so treasure, in the first sense, is first and foremost something that you believe exists and have defined as being of value. So first, to discover this new treasure, you believe that this new talent, this new treasure exists, and then you're going to define it as being of value. So treasure is something that is inside of me that I know exists and it's valuable. So you have a treasure, and you are a treasure, and you are of value. So you are a treasure. Of course, in Miracles calls you the treasure of God. So you are God's treasure. You are God's treasure. You are God's treasure. So CJ, Joan, Gemma, Shahira, you, Janet, and the rest of you mighty companions, you are God's treasure. Joseph, you are God's treasure. You are a treasure. You're going to recognize a treasure that you didn't even know you had. And when you recognize this treasure and you develop this talent and you develop this ability, and you're going to have a tendency to then to start to identify with it. So it says in paragraph 3, as this treatise of A Course of Love is not concerned with material treasure. We are not talking about material treasure, even though material treasure is innocent, it's neutral, it's okay, but we're not talking about material treasure. It says, we will not explore the dimensions of physical treasure except to say that the feelings that cause one to think that any physical thing is capable of being a treasure or being treasured are of the ego. So it's the ego, the part of us that does not really know what's ultimately valuable, because that's the part of us that thinks it is a separate person. That part of us treasures material treasures. So if I have lost sight of my divinity, what I value more than anything is trying to have material treasures. If I'm beginning to wake up to my true spiritual identity, and I'm coming into the realization that I am awareness, you are awareness, and you are an awareness with many talents, which are your treasures, you will want to get in touch with your true treasure the treasure you can never lose, the treasure you can always count on, more so than you would be focusing in on just trying to have material, physical treasures. It says, we will instead assume that you have moved beyond these ego concerns and you're ready to explore the realm of internal treasures. So what is the realm that we're going to talk about this evening? We're going to talk right now. We're going to talk about internal treasures. This is a much more abstract kind of, this isn't the easiest section to cover and to teach. So just hang in there with me. Those of you who have moved beyond the realm of the ego in your fear of returning to the ego, those of you who have begun to move beyond a lot of your fears, a lot of your old ideas about yourself, those of you who are starting to care about yourself and love yourself even more, it's saying one of the fears that you might have is that you might return back to your old ways. You may return back to your old ways of thinking and your old ways of feeling. And it says we often turn away from internal treasures because we believe that if we get in touch with our internal treasures, it might feed our ego. You know, if you get in touch with the fact that you are loving, if you get in touch with the fact that you are lovable, if you get in touch with the fact that you are brilliant, if you get in touch with the fact that you're innocent, if you get in touch with the fact that you are spectacular in your being, then there may be a part of you that believes that that's going to feed your ego, that seeing yourself as spectacular, seeing yourself as beautiful, seeing yourself as awesome, that somehow or another that's going to feed your ego. One of the things that I've experienced a lot is sometimes I'll compliment people and tell them how I see them as being beautiful or innocent or smart or wise. And one of the most common things that person will say to me is, "Oh, you just trying to feed my ego." And I tell them, no, actually, I'm feeding your ego if I call you insecure, unworthy, crazy, selfish, no good, afraid. If I criticize, judge, and condemn you, call you guilty, attack you, that's when I'm feeding your ego. Because the ego is the part of us that feels like it's lacking in some way. So you're never feeding someone's ego by saying something loving to them, by making them aware that they are a treasure. You're not feeding their ego. You're feeding their spirit. You're helping them become aware of who and what they really are. So the next time somebody compliments you, the next time somebody acknowledges how wonderful you are, don't say you're feeding my ego. No, finally, there's someone in your life that's feeding your true self, that's feeding your spirit. So it says, despite many observations within this course regarding desire, you may still fear your desire. Don't be afraid of your desires. Don't judge your desires. Don't be afraid of your desires. Don't judge your desires. Don't be afraid of your desires. That's right, CJ. Feeding my ego is all that negative esteem talk. Feeding myself is all the treasure talk. Bring on that treasure talk so I can dance even more in spirit. Yes, that is exactly what I'm talking about, CJ. Yeah, I want to feed your spirit, who you really are, not feed your ego by saying that there's anything about you that's less than whole, less than complete, or less than perfect. So despite many exhortations that your purpose here, what is your purpose here? Your purpose here is to be who you are. The reason why you're here is to be who you are. You have a reason for being here. That reason for being here is for you to really and truly be who you really and truly are. You may have determined that exploring your internal treasure is now unnecessary. You may well be feeling a sense of relief in having learned that who you are right now is a being of perfection. You've been studying spiritual truth. You have been hearing how whole and complete and perfect you are. Well, there's a part of you that has learned that who you are right now is a perfect being. Perfect means complete. Complete means perfect. So when I say you are a perfect being, what I mean is that you are totally complete. There is nothing missing from you at all. You are not going to be recalled because some parts are missing. You are perfect. There is nothing lacking in you. There is nothing missing in you. So you may find in this a somewhat peaceful resting place to dwell in for a time. So do you know what that means? It means that you have been allowing yourself to learn on a spiritual level. You have been allowing yourself to get in touch with your source, with God, with spirit. And you may be a person that's now finally beginning to accept that you are whole, that you are complete. And you might want to just right now find yourself just kind of want to chill out because you're feeling pretty cool with yourself. You don't feel like there's nothing really wrong with you anymore like you used to, and you're much more willing to take responsibility for your happiness, and you're not really giving anybody a hard time, and you're feeling pretty comfortable with who you are. And you may be in that stage in your spiritual growth where you just want to rest in what you perceive as the perfection and the peace of the self that you've now become. You know, I can relate to this so much. It's like I now am really genuinely not asking the people in my life to change anything about themselves in order to make me happy. I'm finally feeling more whole and complete and at peace with myself that I don't need other people around me to jump through hoops or to change who they are in order for me to feel validated or for me to feel happy. I pretty much assume responsibility for my feelings and what's going on with me, and I don't project and blame on others for what I'm going through. I do it more than I've ever done it before. I let people be more than I've ever done it before. And I got a feeling that you are doing the same thing, that you are much more calm, peaceful, and conscious and chilled out than you've ever been in your life. And a part of you just wants to rest. A part of you may feel very detached from everything. And you just want to stay in this inner peace, this calm that you are finally experiencing inside of yourself. That's the way I feel right now. I don't have a drive to get. I don't have a big drive for outer worldly, what the world calls success in the world. I really get that no matter what my ego sends me after in the world, it never truly satisfies me. I'm one of those people who've been fortunate enough to practice these principles for years and have so many of the things that I've desired manifest, and then find myself still not feeling totally content and not really feeling fulfilled because I didn't know that I was looking for my happiness in neutral things and physical material things. Outer things are neutral things, and so they really can't give me any joy because they're neutral, which means I have to give myself joy through whatever is manifested in my life. You have to give yourself joy through whatever is manifested in your life. So nothing in your outer world, the house, the car, your friends, even your spiritual path, in and of itself is going to be able to give you happiness. The happiness is going to come from your internal treasures. Your happiness is going to come from knowing that you are whole and complete. I've heard that so many times, I can't even tell you how many times I've heard your happiness is within. Your happiness is not outside of yourself. And I would say, that is exactly right. My happiness is within. It's not outside myself. And then I would go straight outside of myself looking for the next thing that I thought was going to make me happy. So I agree with you, Joseph, when you say you just wrote an amazing writing on treasure and that you hold more than gold. Very much on this. So I'm glad you tuned in, Joseph. And then Claire, you said, I want to be authentic. So let's all make that statement for ourselves, that I want to be authentic. I want to be authentic. I want to express my authentic self. And Gemma says, I am at more peace than I've ever felt. It's crazy that I have had 46 years of no peace. Well, every experience that you had in those 46 years, all of those experiences were purposely designed to crack you open so that your heart would open up and that your mind would open up. And then when your heart opened up and your mind opened up, it made you aware of the divine presence of Spirit in God, and it moved you toward the joy and the happiness that your natural spiritual identity will give you. So every one of those experiences, every one of those years where it looked like you did not have peace, they were stepping stones, not obstacles, that were moving you to where you are right now. And Claire says, yes, I'm at peace. I just want to rest. I just want to rest. And so resting from the level that the Course of Love is talking about resting is talking about you feeling that you are complete, that you're a perfect being, that you are whole. And so you are resting because there is no drive to get anything anymore. There's no drive to try to make something happen anymore. You're getting in touch with your own center. And it says in the Course of Love that you may have determined that exploring your internal treasure is now unnecessary. You may well be feeling a sense of relief and having learned that who you are right now is a being of perfection. And you may find in this a somewhat peaceful resting place to dwell in for a time. You may find that despite having learned much about the need to leave judgment behind, you've learned that there's a need to leave judgment behind. You judge your desire to be other than you are. You judge your desires to be other than you are now, including any desires related to those internal treasures you had once hoped to have become abilities. In other words, you think your willingness to accept who you are now is what this course has led you to, and evidence of your accomplishment. You may view this as license to stay as you are and to cease striving for more. What does that mean? It means that because I have achieved this state of inner peace that's greater than I've ever experienced before, I may somehow think that that's the ultimate goal, and there's nothing for me to try to strive for anymore. I've finally gotten to the point that I'm not fooled by the things of the world, and I'm getting in touch, and I know who I am, and I feel good about myself as a spiritual being, as a consciousness, as an awareness. And so the Course of Love says, then I might be tempted to feel like I have arrived and that there's nothing else for me to really seek. He says, this resting place, in paragraph 5, it says, this resting place is indeed hallowed ground. The fact that you are finally having more peace than you've ever had is hallowed ground. You earned this respite. It's okay. It's okay for you to take a moment and rest. It's okay for you to not feel like you need to be striving and trying to get something and make something happen all the time. You may feel like you are, he says, a demarcation even between the old way and the new way of living. So right now, you are completely in the middle between the old way that you used to live and you used to look at things and this new way that you're learning right now. So, but being in this peaceful place is not the goal. Just being in this peaceful place alone is not the goal, Earl. The goal, the inner calm is great. The inner calm was something that you had to do your spiritual study and learn how to undo the blocks to your awareness of love and God. That's great, but that's not the end. That's not the end. Because if you just stayed at this state right now, where you feel more calm than you ever have before, and you don't particularly feel that drive to get anymore, you no longer believe that your true treasures are just the things outside of yourself that you're trying to chase. If you reach that point in your spiritual development, if you stay in that place, then you're going to start to feel stagnant. It's, at some point, it's going to start to feel unsatisfying, and you'll say to yourself something like, "Is this all there is to it?" I mean, yeah, okay, life is pretty peaceful. It's free of drama. I feel pretty whole and complete, but I feel like I'm stagnant. I feel like I'm not moving like I should. He says, left in such a place without further instruction, you would soon return to your old ideas of heaven and see peace as a state of being for those too weary to fully live. Some people feel like, you may find yourself feeling like peace is just a state that you have when you become too weary to get active in your life. So done with the adventures of living, since it looks like you are done with the rat race and trying to accomplish so much in the outer, you would no longer deem yourself interested in the hunt. So now I have peace, so I'm no longer interested in the hunt for my treasure. And this buried treasure. And then I don't see my buried treasure. Just because you have peace doesn't mean that you are not still to allow yourself to move toward your own buried inner treasure. There's a treasure. Remember, from the very beginning, we were told that we were going to discover a talent or a treasure that we don't recognize. This talent and this treasure that you don't recognize, you discover it on the other side of achieving inner peace. So after you achieve inner peace, you're going to have a period where you're going to just want to kind of rest a while. And you're not that particularly active in the outer world trying to get things. After a while, that state will become somewhat unsatisfying. And so it would be time for you to move on now toward discovering and developing your inner treasure, your inner talents. So what I see that A Course of Love is doing right now is describing to me the stages that I'm going to go through. And so you've been working real hard to get conscious. You've been working real hard to be a more peaceful person. You've been working real hard to take more responsibility for your experience. You've been working real hard to not have grievances with others. You've been working real hard to free yourself and to give others freedom. And you've been wanting to see yourself as innocent. You've been wanting to see yourself as joined. You have been letting go of your negative thoughts about yourself and others like never before. And finally, you feel some peace. You feel whole. You feel complete. And you want to rest there for a little while. You just want to let yourself rest in this new inner peace and this new calm that you have. Then we were told that, okay, that's fine. It's going to be okay for you to rest a while in the calm of your own consciousness and your own inner peace. But after a while, it's going to become kind of stagnant to you. And then you're going to want to move toward discovering and finding your buried treasure, your a new talent, a new ability that you have not ever recognized deep inside yourself. So you're about to discover a treasure in you. So it says, this place is not life, but this place is not death, because even death is not an eternal resting place. So that whole idea that you're going to rest after you die forever, we're being told, you don't rest after you die forever, the way that most people imagine it. It says even rest, once truly learned, rest is just rest. Rest is just rest. But we're not talking about, he says, it's not a resting place. It's a place, it's not a resting place, a place to stop along the journey of life any more than it is a place at which life stops and death reigns. So even though you are resting, we are not talking about, Raj, we're not talking about you being in a resting place, meaning that your journey now has stopped. Your journey now has ended. So even though you're more conscious than you've ever been, even though you're more awake than you've ever been, even though you are accepting yourself at a level that you've never accepted yourself before, and you're feeling a lot of inner peace and you want to rest, you're going to rest for a little while, and then you're going to move toward your treasure. But because you're resting, that doesn't mean that your journey has stopped. Your evolution has stopped. You're getting in touch with talents and abilities within yourself, your treasures within yourself that you never knew were there. That's still going to happen. So, rest, he says, is not a point at which you arrive, and then it says never to depart. You haven't arrived at this place, and you're never going to depart from this place that you're in right now in terms of your inner peace. So we're being told the stages that we're going to go through. So in case you're wondering, like, what are the stages that I'm going to go through? And what's going to happen after I do finally heal my mind and I feel peaceful and loving and I feel inner peace and I feel calm within myself? What's going to happen next? That's exactly what Yeshua is explaining to you and I right now. We are being told exactly the stages that we're going to go through after we allow ourselves to get in touch with who we really are and we feel total peace inside. Rest, when truly learned, rest is a state of being. So resting is a what? Resting is a state of being in which what has ceased? Resting is a state of being where struggle has ceased. So you're resting when you're not struggling. You are resting when you are not struggling. You are resting when you're not struggling. And you're not struggling because peace has triumphed over chaos. Love has triumphed over fear. So how can I know when I'm really resting? I'm really resting, truly resting, when I've ceased to struggle and when there's no more chaos going on in my life. The drama has stopped and I have love in my heart instead of fear in my heart. So resting is not struggling. But the catch is not to attribute your peace to the fact that something on the outside is going the way that you want it to go. True peace is not you feeling good and happy just because it looks like all the scripts that you've written for everything is going the way that you want them to go. Even though you are perfectly within your right to be thankful that things seem to be going the way that you want them to go, and you have every right to be happy because everything seems to be going the way you want it to go. What you want to stay aware of is that your happiness must not be dependent on everything appearing on the outer going the way that you want it to go. Your peace must come ultimately from understanding that everything you see is in your mind, and you can't control anything that you're feeling until you know that everything you see and the thoughts about everything you see are in your mind. Everything you're feeling is in your mind. Everything you're seeing is in your mind. So your peace is going to come from knowing that if I want peace on the outer, I have to get in touch with my internal treasure, my internal thoughts of love and consciousness and truth and spirit, and then therefore feel really fulfilled and content on the inside. And when I feel this contentment on the inside, my world is a projection of what I feel on the inside. And so I will also seem to be experiencing more peace and more love and more support and more kindness from the outside. It's amazing to me how kind people have been to me lately and how loving people have been to me lately. I mean, just total strangers. One of the things that I'm noticing is that the more I feel peace within myself, the more, and what I mean by peace within myself, I mean I'm getting rid of my agenda. I'm letting go of the agenda that I have for everybody that I know, trying to limit them for my purposes, having this attitude that everybody needs to give me what I think is going to make me happy, and I'm doing everything I can to control and manipulate situations so that it turns out the way that I want it to. Well, as I have begun to love myself and to take responsibility and to recognize I am the Christ, I am spirit, I am awareness, I am consciousness, the more I realize that and then feel content and whole inside of myself, the more the outer world reflects love back to me at a level that it never reflected love back to me when I was projecting on the world, blaming the world, trying to make sure that everybody acted the way I wanted them to act and behave the way that I want them to behave. So you may be at a point that you still see but two choices. There are two choices, peace or struggle. Those are the two choices, peace or struggle. But if you have the attitude that there is only peace and that there is only struggle, then you would soon be struggling to maintain your peace. There's only peace and struggle, so I'm going to struggle to keep my peace. There's another choice. There is a choice even beyond the choice of peace and struggle. And you're right, Dana. Everyday devotion is so important. And Shahira, it's okay for you to be at that point right now where you're just resting in the wholeness and the completion of yourself. Gemma, I'm glad that you are not struggling. I join with you on that idea that you are not struggling. I see what you said. I have been being drenched in love and kindness more so than I ever have in my whole life. I would invite you, Gemma, to say to yourself, this is ordinary. It should be ordinary for me to be drenched in love. It is ordinary for me to be drenched in love. It's not special for me to be drenched in love. It is ordinary for me to be drenched in love and kindness. And I see where you said the last 6 months of my life have been about how much everyone loves me, and I needed that so much. The reason why there is more love coming to you is because you're giving more love. That's how you know you're really doing it. That's what I love about spiritual truth. It won't allow you to fool yourself. How does Earl know that Earl is being more loving than Earl has ever been in his life? It's because Earl is experiencing more love than Earl has ever experienced in his life. And there's a part of Earl that is immobilized, the part of Earl that thinks he doesn't deserve it, the part of Earl that felt like he wasn't strong enough, wasn't good enough, wasn't smart enough, whatever that idea of Earl that Earl had about himself, that part feels very affronted by the amount of love that I'm receiving. That part of me, that voice inside my head wants to say, well, you don't really deserve it, or it's not going to last very long, or there's something that's going to happen really, really bad because it looks like you're so happy and everything is going great for you right now. Well, that is what we must now call the ego, and realize that that is just an old dead voice from the past that's saying stuff about you that's not even true anymore. So it says, the treasure that lies within that you don't yet fully recognize, the treasure is the treasure of unity. See, you've gone as far as you can go on the spiritual path from the perspective that you got to do it by yourself, that you have to do this alone. You have to do your spiritual growth alone. You have to practice the principles of love alone. You are no longer alone. You have mighty companions with you now. It's about us joining with each other. And every time we come together for a course of love, that's why I know you can watch this video whenever you want to, tomorrow, a week from now. But it's also an even more powerful experience when we are in real time, in unity, communicating and feeling each other. And so recognizing that we are one, recognizing that we are connected, now you will not go on from here alone. You never were alone, but now you're going to become even more aware that there are many that are going to join with you, walking beside you on this path. You'll no longer be the weird one alone. You're no longer going to be the strange one alone. You're no longer going to be the one who didn't agree with the world in the way that the world does it, and it looked like it was you trying to look at things in a different way alone. You are going to attract more and more mighty companions. You're going to recognize more and more that your real treasure is each other. Our real treasure is each other. Our real treasure is the fact that we are united and the fact that we are joined with each other. That's right. Mighty companions, thank God. Thank God. Elder Pamela says, the more I seem to love myself, my husband has acted like I am his problem, but I've actually moved way out of his way. No more expectations. Because everybody's coming to the same place in the end, but we don't all wake up and recognize the truth at the same time. So just recognize that every experience that your husband is bringing into his life is also the experiences he needs to crack himself open, so he will become aware of the divinity in himself. So we are all moving toward our internal treasures now, and our internal treasures are treasures that we take with us everywhere we go, and we could never lose like we could the world's material or physical treasures. So it says in the Course of Love in paragraph 8 in chapter 1 of the second treatise, it says, the treasure that lies within that you do not yet fully recognize is the treasure of unity. As you have learned much of unity within the context of this course, unity, like rest, unity may have come to be viewed as a place at which you can arrive. You think you're going to arrive at unity. Like peace, unity may feel like a bubble of protection. I feel like I'm protected when I am in a place of unity. I feel like unity is something that sets me apart from life and all the chaos that seems to rule in life. But what the Course of Love is saying is that you must realize that you think in terms of place because we still think in terms of form. And thus, even I have often, Yeshua says, I have often used the idea of place as a teaching aid. But you are ready for something else now. There's another level of consciousness that we're going to tonight. You are ready now to begin to think without the need for form. What is it that we are, what is the stage that I'm moving to tonight? What is the stage you are moving to tonight? What is the new stage of, what is the new level of consciousness that you are moving to tonight? You're going to begin to think beyond the need to always think of form. Tonight we're going beyond form. Tonight that means we're going beyond the physical. That means tonight we're going beyond appearances. Tonight we are going beyond, it's time for us to start to think beyond the idea of form. Okay. And unity is based on laws that we can't mess with. I'm so glad that there are things that are going to always be unaffected by my ego and unaffected by man and unaffected by everything that man does or thinks, that the laws of God cannot be broken, that the laws of God are totally consistent, that the laws of love, the laws of happiness never change. The laws of happiness never change. The laws of love, the laws of unity never change. That's one of the reasons why you can relax more. You can't break the universe. You can't break the laws of God. You can't break the truth like you could break a toy. I don't care what we do. We're not going to change the laws of love. I don't care what you've ever done. I do not care what no matter, I put it this way, no matter what you've done, you are not going to affect the laws of love. You are loved no matter what you have done. And like CJ says, I am hungry to live this formless life, which is a life that's centered in what? Love, peace, joy, and freedom. And that's context without the need to be contained, or content also without the need to be contained in form. See, I'm feeling a love and a truth and a consciousness and a spirit about myself that cannot be contained in my body. I am beginning to realize that I am not inside my body, that my body is inside my mind. The form is inside of the mind. It's the mind that makes the form. So we have a thirst for unity and connection, and we have a thirst to know our unlimited being that's not contained within this physical form. And that's what we're starving to know. That's part of our internal treasure. So it says, thus even I have often used, it says, even in paragraph 9, it says, even the desires you may have once identified as hoping to develop into abilities, these desires are given a structure and form in your thinking of them. Every time you think of something, you think of it in some type of a form or an appearance. So the Course of Love says a desire to paint, then immediately, and I'm going to just read through this really quick because he's giving examples. In your thoughts, I'll say it again. A desire to paint in your thoughts becomes a completed painting that you hang on your wall. The time of painting becomes a place. A room or studio is envisioned in which all the tools of the artist's trade are available. An aspiring pianist imagines a grand piano and performs in a magnificent concert hall or a little spinet that will grace a living room and then invite friends and family to gather round. A writer sees a book in print. A runner wins a race. A tennis player becomes a champion. These are all scenes of things. These are all scenes of places. Or in other words, we still are thinking in terms of external form. So what does the Course of Love tell us that we need to do? When you can start to think without always thinking of form, the form that is going to come in, the appearance that is going to come in, then you are on your way to recognizing unity. It's obvious that all of our bodies cannot unite, no matter how much any part of us would want that. That's impossible. So our union has to be in something that's beyond the body. Our union has to be in something beyond form. So if you are starting to think beyond the body, if you beginning to think beyond appearance, beyond physical form, then you are moving closer toward unity consciousness. And so the Course of Love says form is a product of separation. You see physical form because you think you are a physical form. You think you are a separate physical form, and so now you see physical form all around you. But if you would think about it, my physical form seems to be separate from your physical form. So form is really of separation. Seeing physical form actually comes from the idea of separation. Thought forms are a product of separation. So what are we talking about when we talk about unity? What are we talking about when we talk about unity as a treasure? Unity is not a place. Unity is not a thing, but unity is in the realm of one heart and one mind. Unity, that's right, Dana. You are Earl. Earl is Dana. We are the same being. It's just the form of your body and the form of my body makes us think we're separate from each other. And our egos, which is the part of us that does believe that it's separate from, that we're separate from each other, that part of us keeps giving us physical examples of how separate and how different we are and how apart we are. And so, just like CJ is saying, the more we stay in the experience of the feel, F-E-E-L, rather than getting into the physical senses, the more we are able to join in unity. So that's a great practical awareness that can be practiced at any time. Take a breath, close your eyes, pause, take a breath, close your eyes. And there's something about closing your eyes that will get you back into that space of oneness and unity quicker than any other way. It's like even when I'm talking to you tonight, today, right now, when I close my eyes, I become much more aware of the truth. I become much more aware of unity. I even remember what Yeshua is saying on the pages a lot better. So when we talk about unity, we're talking about a realm of complexity. See, the truth is unity and form is always neutral. Form is always neutral. So form can be used for unity or form can be used for separation. So there is no inherent conflict between form and unity. It's not about us getting in a battle with our physical desires or judging ourselves for seeing physical form or somehow thinking physical form is not okay. It's what are you going to do with physical form? What are you going to use physical form for? Are you going to use physical form to express your authentic self as love? Are you going to use your physical form to express your treasure, which is your talent, that you're about to recognize a talent that you didn't know that you had? So the realm of, I like that, the realm of connectedness is the realm of unity. So right now we're in the connectedness realm. You are a creator. You are a creator. You are a creator. Okay, so what kind of creator are you? Well, you are a creator who creates with thought, but it's thought that's totally unlike any thoughts you have ever had before. You are about to experience the results of thoughts that are different from any kind of thoughts you've ever had before. You are about to get in touch with a way of thinking that is different from any other type of thoughts or thinking you've ever had before. Do you know your thoughts of a grand piano would not create a grand piano? But what kind of thoughts is it that create the pianist? Thoughts joined in unity. Thoughts joined in unity is like thinking without thought. Now, I have to make sure I don't try to analyze this. I just need to hear this right now. You are going to think without thought. You are about to think without thought. It can be like using your imagination. These kind of thoughts can be associated with love. So thoughts are joined in unity, but the kind of thoughts that you're about to have is something like thinking without thought. You're going to be thinking without thought. Now, as an example, when I talk about being creative, then the ego thinks in terms of a physical piano. Thoughts joined in unity, those are the thoughts that represent the music. It's the music that you want to listen to the person playing the piano for. So ego desires cause you to think of an elaborately framed painting, for instance, but thoughts that you have in oneness, thoughts that you have in unity, they just see beauty. So the course of love says you are used to thinking that if you do not have a tangible goal, you're so used to thinking that if you don't have a tangible goal, such as music lessons or purchasing a piano, that you will never reach the goals that are associated with those tangible steps. But thoughts joined in unity, check this out. Thoughts joined in unity create without goals. When you have thoughts that are joined in unity, you can create without planning, without effort. You can create without struggle. So thoughts that are joined with the idea that we are separate, they create effort, planning, and struggle. Thoughts that come from the idea of our unity, thoughts that come from the new level that we are achieving, these thoughts also create, but they create without planning. You will not always be planning, you will not always be efforting, and you will not always be struggling. Yes, Joseph, let's say that together. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. The blessings and grace of hearing the whispers of your guidance to catch this video of our beautiful brother. Thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate your appreciation of me. I'll say it again. When you go to these new levels of thinking without thought, these new levels of consciousness that you are going to, based on unity and oneness, you will still be creating. You will be creating better than you've ever created before. The only difference is you will be through with planning, you will be through with efforting, and you will be through with struggle. Holy Spirit, higher self, I'm totally willing to not have to plan to create. I'm totally willing to not struggle anymore. I'm totally willing to not have to make a lot of effort anymore. Now, this doesn't make an instrument unnecessary for a musician. What I'm saying doesn't mean that a painter will not eventually put a paintbrush to the canvas. But what I am saying is that the treasure exists without these things. You can be a talented saxophone player and never own a saxophone. I would say some of the most talented saxophone players that have ever lived have never had or played a saxophone. You can have your talent without having the physical thing that expresses that talent. You can be valuable even if it looks like you're not doing physical things that represent that value. You can be a treasure. You can have an inner treasure. You can have internal gifts and talents that are real without you ever doing anything physically to express those things. So the message that I'm getting right now is to understand that I have value, that I am a treasure regardless. Thank you, CJ, for joining me in surrender to the creation of life without any planning or doing. And let's have the creation of life easy by joining in unity and oneness with each other in a shared purpose of expressing our authentic self and the love that we are. You have a treasure that's already a fully realized creation. Okay, you already have a treasure that's a fully realized creation. You may not know it, but you have a fully realized creation. You are going to see that. You're going to recognize a treasure and a talent that you didn't know you have, that you didn't even know you had, because you are a fully realized creation. So I am a fully realized creation. And a creation is an extension of God, an extension of love, an extension of truth. So you have a fully realized creation. You are a fully realized creation. And so you already have a treasure, internal treasure. And you have an internal treasure that is already valuable and already available. I already have a treasure that is valuable. I already have a treasure that is available. I already have a treasure that is valuable. I already have an inner treasure that is valuable. You already have an inner treasure that is valuable. You already have an inner treasure that is valuable. And do you know that you also have an inner treasure that is available? June, you are very welcome. You are very welcome. And Gemma, in wanting to create unconditional love and compassion, that is the same as saying, I want to extend unconditional love. I want to extend unconditional compassion. I am not the source of love. I am a channel for love. I am the extension of love. I am the extension of God. I already have a treasure, and it's available to me. And I'm going to recognize that treasure. It's going to be a treasure that I didn't even know that I had. You're going to become aware of a treasure that you didn't even know you had. So the last paragraph says, this is a first step. What is a first step? Recognizing that if you focus on extending thoughts that are based on unity, oneness, and connectedness, you will become a creator that does not struggle, that does not have to plan, that does not have to effort so much. There's a treasure that's already in you, an internal gift, treasure, talent, extension of love in God that's already in you, and it's already valuable, and it's available. Your treasure is available. Your treasure is available. Mr. Purdy, your treasure is available. Your treasure is ready for pickup. Mr. Purdy, your treasure is already available. It's already valuable. It's available for pickup. It's an elementary step that we're taking. One easily accomplished with just a little bit of willingness. Do you have a little bit of willingness? Do you have a little bit of willingness? Yes, I have a little bit of willingness. Well, that's all the willingness that you need. How much willingness do you need? You need a little bit of willingness. And do you know what? I would venture to say that all of you have a little bit of willingness. I have a little bit of willingness. Some of you have a lot of bit of willingness. But this change in thinking in regards to treasures, you do recognize that if you were to have a change in thinking that you are a treasure, your treasures are already in you, that you are whole, that you are valuable, that you have treasures whether you express them in form or not. Having a change in thinking in regards to treasures you do recognize, that's going to do what? Changing your way of thinking in regards to treasures that you do recognize, opening yourself up to the next level. And the next level is for you to discover treasures that you didn't even know that you had without struggle and pain. You are about to recognize treasures heretofore that you have not recognized because you're changing your mind about you being a treasure yourself and your own internal treasures. So what is the message for this evening as I close? And before we do a quick recap, is to recognize that your treasure already is, your treasure that's inside of you that you're going to discover soon is very valuable, and this treasure that you're going to discover in yourself is available to you right now. So I want to thank you for joining me for the Course of Love. I'm going to do some quick takeaways at the end, so stick around so that we can wind this thing up. Those of you I want to thank you for being with me, mighty companion. If you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, go to earlpurdy.com. I'm available for one-on-one sessions, coaching, mentoring, and doing counseling sessions called a clarity session. Go to my website, earlpurdy.com. I have a Course in Miracles class on Facebook Live at 1 p.m. on Sunday, Mountain Time. the Way of Mastery class, 7 p.m. on Tuesdays, Mountain Time. And of course, my Course of Love that I do here at 7 p.m. Mountain Time every Thursday. So let's take a breath and let's see what it is. So let's see. I want to make sure that tell me a takeaway. Write a takeaway. Make a comment. Give me a takeaway that you have gotten from this evening's sharing. Let me see a takeaway that you have, that you want to share with your brothers and sisters tonight in unity and oneness. Kim says, my treasure chest is here now, not in the past or the not yet. Give me another takeaway, somebody, that you got. Ego thinks I can't hear since the video keeps stopping. But my heart still feels the truth of it all. No matter what looks like technical difficulties, you are a treasure. And when you finally start to experience spiritual progress, and you've gotten to the point where you are not upset all the time, and you feel peace, you feel whole, you feel complete, you may want to just rest for a while. And it's okay for you to rest for a while. But after a while, you may start to feel a little stagnant and dissatisfied. That's because it's time for you to move further on your journey to happiness. And that moving further is going to be you discovering an internal treasure that you have not recognized that you have. And when you start to use this new thinking without thought, thinking without analyzing, thinking in unity, thinking that we are connected, it's going to allow you to create without planning. It's going to allow you to create without effort and struggle, because you are thinking from a unity place. And thinking from a unity place is going to create a life of love without struggle and effort and planning. Without struggle, effort, and planning. Gemma says, feel, not think. Think in unity. I love this. Dana, I am glad that you're willing to lean on me in any way that you can. That feels so good to me. You can extend love through unity. Yvette says, thinking from a unity place. That is what we should be doing, is thinking from a unity place. Yvette says, I am an extension of love. Say it to yourself. I am an extension of love. Thinking from a unity place. We are extensions of love. You must go beyond just thinking in terms of form and appearance. It's time for you to go to formless thinking and know that you are beyond the body. What you are is beyond the body and form. What you are is beyond the body. Tell yourself, I am not a body. I am free. You are more than your body. You are free. Now, I want you to claim this for yourself right now. Thank you for seeing me as a rock star, because that means you're seeing yourself as a rock star. My greatest joy is being helpful. Tell yourself, I am a treasure of God. Let's say it. I am a treasure of God. Let's say it. We are treasures of God. We are treasures of God. I am a treasure of God. I am a treasure of God. Let's say it. I am a treasure of God. Right on. I am a treasure of God. You are a treasure. You are a treasure. You are a treasure of God. I love you, mighty companion, and I will see you next time.